This is the DallasCowboys.com Draft Show.
The Cowboys are on the clock.
Your war room for insider news and draft analysis from deep within the confines of Cowboys headquarters at the Star in Frisco.
The Dallas Cowboys select Leighton Vander Esch.
And now, your hosts, Dane Brugler, David Hellman, and Brian Broaddus.
Well, folks, it's the day we've all been waiting for. It's the 2019 NFL Draft from Nashville, Tennessee. We're going to convene this evening in Nashville and get this thing started. But until then,
we're convening here.
We're convening here.
We're not
right
going
now.
anywhere.
We're not going anywhere because we've been with you all year, and we're really excited about this. Excited to be working with my scouting buddies, Dane Brugler, David Hellman. A new addition to the draft show for this weekend. You've seen her fine work on all the platforms on DallasCowboys.com, on Dallas Cowboys Television, Lindsay Draper. And Lindsay will be the host this evening for our Fox Sports Southwest pre-draft show. So this will be interesting for us is that we will have TV work.
Yeah, we're taking over because it started out as an internet podcast.
They want y'all on TV now.
Yeah.
Then they put us on 105.3 The Fan.
Yes.
And now we're doing TV. That's how good the draft
Next
show
stop is the NFL Network.
Let's go.
Bring it on.
We're better.
What
we're
are we
better than
rated?
those guys.
I say we. Today it's
You're-
we.
you're
What are we rated on iTunes? Are we like way up
top
there?
5 sports podcasts.
Insanity.
It's because of Brugler. That's why we're rated.
It's insane.
Good fan base.
Good.
Smart fan base.
Smart fan base.
Smart fan base for
Dane.
sure.
Absolutely.
What? Like I'm guessing you don't know the exact date, but if you had to ballpark it, like when did you watch your first 2019 prospect?
Right around May, late May, Memorial Day, probably.
Oh,
That's
my
what I
God.
thought.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
And that's
It's almost May now.
Sunday.
Wow.
Sunday, I'll be working on my 2020 mock draft. That'll be out Monday a.m.
No, you're not.
Yes.
No, you're not.
All 32 picks.
Dane.
And it'll be more of like a watch
Help
list,
him.
and then
And the Cowboys will have one.
yes, they will.
Hey!
Let's go.
Yeah.
We think they'll have
Well,
one.
yeah, all right.
Just wait till I have them draft in
Exactly.
Tua or someone.
That's it. A lot of things going on here on DallasCowboys.com. We have top 100 lists. We have the Cowboys 7-round mock draft that's going off today with all the writers. I hope you took the opportunity to watch the videos that we did, 2-round mock draft, which Lindsay hosted, Dave, myself, Rob
It
Phillips.
was very entertaining.
We had a good time doing that. And the thing about it as we get into this draft, though, and Dane, I think you've said this best, is that, as you look at the Cowboys with what we think right now, no first-round pick as we speak, but there's 57 names that are going to have to come off that board before you pick. And we did our draft show mock draft on Tuesday, and I think we all got a little bit. It was eye-opening for me.
There was some buyer's remorse there.
There was some buyer's remorse. And it is to the point where it made me think about, do we need to go up in this draft? Do you need, if you're the Dallas Cowboys, Stephen Jones, when we've talked about this a lot throughout the draft shows, is that there seems like certain depth at certain positions. But the positions that we might want, the quality, if you pass that the first time, maybe the quality in the third and fourth round is not where you want to go. And if you could take that pick a third round pick at 390 and move up to get a player. Now, again, it eliminates you. And I'll make this argument, though, that if you're a team like the Cowboys, and Lindsay and Dave, I mean, you guys work with the team every day. This is a team that is so cap heavy. Can they afford to trade up a pick? Can they afford to give up a pick when they need really a middle class?
You mean tonight?
I'm talking about
Friday.
Friday? Yeah.
Oh, I was about to say.
Yeah, but no, they would have to give a lot of picks. But there's this team is so cap heavy with offensive line, potentially with wide receiver, potentially with quarterback, potentially with running back, and defensive end. Everybody wants to hit on their draft, but can this team afford to can give up a pick when they need a middle class?
They need bodies.
They need bodies.
Cheap labor to offset all of these big contracts.
They need those guys. They need the Jalen Smiths and the Sean Lees and the guys like that were second round. They need the Xavier Woods,
Right.
They need those guys. So can this team, as much as I'd like to say, go be aggressive, go make this happen, do I need to think about my team and how it's structured cap-wise?
I get what you're saying. I do. But what does Stephen Jones keep saying about taking the next step? And is extra bodies going to help this team take the next step? Or is an impact player you get at pick 40 going to help you take the next step?
That's a great point.
That's where I want to win. I don't, I'm thinking about 3 years from now, sure. But I'm thinking about next year, and I want to win. And I don't think by giving up pick 90, I'm sacrificing my ability to win in 3 years. I mean, I'd love to pick at 90, but it's 90.
Now, I have not been sitting on this show all year. So what do you guys think about, the window terminology? Like with Tony Romo's window, they built that offensive line. Is this a window right now where Dane, you're saying we need to win now because this is the window?
I absolutely think they're in like a 3-year window where this roster can maximize its talents. Like, you're gonna pay some of these guys. You already have. You paid Tank. You're more than likely gonna pay Dak and Amari Cooper. We'll see what happens with Byron. But what about you mentioned Jalen Smith? What about Jalen Smith? What about Leighton Vander Esch?
Right.
What about you're more than likely not gonna have Lyle Collins. What do you do about Ezekiel Elliott? All that type of stuff.
Wow.
But the core group of what you need, I think, will be here for the next 2 years, maybe 3. So I do look at that as a window where if this specific core of players is going to accomplish something, it probably needs to be 2019, 2020, or 2021.
Yeah, we've got those strike looming in 2021.
Perfect.
That's something.
Be the last Super Bowl champs before the league goes on strike. That's fine.
But I just, again, I liked what we did the other day because I think realistically we painted a picture for how this draft could go down for the Cowboys, at 58. I just think all those names have to come off. But are we comfortable allowing that to happen? Will the Cowboys have patience? Will Jerry Jones, Stephen Jones, Jason Garrett, Will McClay, will they have enough patience to sit there for 57 picks?
That's tough because we said on Tuesday night, like it's not like they're going to be quiet on Thursday night and then, they've got pick 35 and they're right there ready to get into it on Friday night. They're still waiting. I don't know. And, let's say, if Jonathan Abram and Taylor Rapp are like two of the first 6 names off the board, maybe Jerry's like, no, screw this, guys. What are we doing? Or maybe even Steven says that. I mean, I couldn't write that off as a possibility.
I think they're going to be ready for both situations. They'll be ready to sit there and say, okay, we feel good that player X, Y, and Z will be there at 58, whether that's Joejuan Williams, a corner from Vanderbilt, Tristan Hill, defensive tackle, UCF. They're going to have a group of players I think they feel comfortable with if they stay at 58. But they're also going to have a group of players that they'd ideally like to trade up for, too, if it works out. And I think both those names make sense. Jonathan Abram, if he falls out of the first round, okay, name to watch. If he's still there at 40,
see, that's where I just kind of hearing whispers here the last couple of days. It seems like to me when they're talking about these safeties, the names of Abram and Thornhill are predominantly the ones with Rapp. There's some legitimate concerns with this club about Rapp's speed. Now, if you talk to people around the league, they will also tell you that Rapp ran the 40 time with a hip flexor problem. And
that's good to know.
That factors into the 4.78.
That factors into the 4.78.
Yeah.
Exactly. They are saying, no, this guy plays much faster on film. We've seen that. We've talked about this. This player seems to be he's one of my favorite players in this draft. But Lindsay, do they have enough patience to sit there? Is Jerry Jones going to be willing to watch this draft go away? He's already committed his first round pick if Amari Cooper was in this draft, we would have a first round receiver. Amari Cooper would be that guy. And he might be a guy that you would consider in the top 10, maybe 8 on your board.
He
overall.
was 4 on his own board.
Got 4 on his own board at that time. So, Linz, are they going to be patient enough to do this? Or Is it going to be one of those things where, they're going to make a move because they see things happening? Dane laid it out for you there. But are they? What do you think about that?
Well, my question, and here with the club, we get a really good look inside the war room. We get to show you guys what goes on. But who is driving this conversation? Is it Stephen Jones or is it Jerry? Because Jerry has come out and said, I don't have many years left. I mean, that's not even being funny. That's what he said.
That's his own words.
How much of that will drive the conversation?
You have a head coach, too, that's in the last year of his contract. If I'm here, I am banging on the table every opportunity to get players. I am not coming out of this draft.
Jason Garrett probably doesn't care about having a pick at 90 just because you need middle tier players on the roster.
If he thinks that John exactly that's why I brought up the point. But you look at Jason Garrett and if he honestly thinks that Jonathan Abram, the safety from Mississippi State, is his kind of guy.
He is.
And you talk to people in this team about Jonathan Abram. He will bring a different attitude and a different demeanor to this team.
Mm-hmm.
He's got the old school attitude. He's married. He has a child.
Yeah.
And he performed well when he was here for his visit, right?
Lindsay, you had a chance to interview him. Kind of your impression of him.
No frills. I mean, and I don't mean this badly, but over the 6 years now that I've done these interviews with these guys, less and less of them come in with a suit jacket or looking ready for the interview. This guy had on a tight turtleneck, blazer, no frills, no funny business. I mean, you said.
That got points with you, didn't it?
You know what? It gets points with me, Dave, because I'll never forget TJ Yeldon. I saw half his boxers just sagging off. I don't need that on this interview day.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
I do.
You know, Dave hears me complain about this stuff. Does it really matter, that much? Probably not. But to me, it does.
Yeah.
Bet you it matters is Jason Garrett.
Yeah.
It definitely matters to Jason
absolutely.
Garrett. And
Don't compare me to Jason Garrett right now,
I'm
David.
just saying. I know it doesn't matter to a lot of people on the other side. They're like, well, these guys have 18 interviews in 19
Some
days.
Of the scouts,
You're living out
some
of a
of the
duffel bag.
scouts agreed with me.
No,
I will say
and
that.
It's a personal preference. It's, some people think it's trashy when you wear pajamas to the airport. Personally, I'm a flip-flops and
I'm Prudence be shocked.
I'm a flip-flops and gym shorts kind of guy at the airport, and that bothers some people.
A job interview like
adding
this.
to
You're right.
Dane's point
I'm just
that
using
he
it as an
was
example.
put together.
But
it was a great addition.
Right.
That you know what? That it's a good thing to do. It's not as important to some people as others,
Correct.
but it's not a bad choice.
It's not
going to
hurt you.
It is not a bad
And
choice.
who knows? Maybe it's just his agent telling him, hey, dress up in a suit.
Based on everything
I'm sure
you've told me
all
about
of their
him.
agents tell them,
Right.
some of them, I'm like, I wish you would tell them.
But no, with the case with Jonathan Abram,
Great player, though.
He is the type of guy that is going to take that extra step because he just has an old school attitude. He's just the older guy coming from the college ranks, and so I think he'd fit perfectly in the locker room. It's just a matter of in my final mock draft, I'm going 26th to Indianapolis.
Yeah.
So
now we're dreaming here.
Right, that's a dream. But if you were to fall out of the first round, then that's where things get interesting.
I want to talk about that though, and I'm not naive, and your grades are spot on every single year. But doesn't this draft seem unique in this? There's so much variation in what people think about these guys.
Well, at 3 positions specifically: wide receiver, corner, and safety.
I saw, somebody, not you, but somebody mocked Hakeem Butler to the Colts at 26 this morning. He's not in your top 100.
No, he's in the 4th round in my book.
Where do you have him?
62 overall.
Which
right in the middle.
Yeah,
that's still a huge variation.
Oh yeah,
that's unbelievable.
Yeah.
You know, Chauncey Gardner-Johnson. Somebody's got him at 33. Somebody's got him at 75.
Right.
And it's like that.
Oh, Drew Lock's like that for me.
Sure.
Drew Lock is a guy. I mean,
it seems there's about 12 to 13 guys that everybody agrees is going to go in the top 20, and then it's just a free for all.
Is it because you guys place different, I guess, pedigree on a combine performance rather than college tape? Is that why it's so different?
I think the styles of play too, wide receivers. Obviously, there's a huge difference between Hollywood Brown and DK Metcalf.
Yes.
You're talking about a 60-pound difference.
Right.
So you factor in the different styles, corners. corners, you have a Byron Murphy who, to me, is my top corner, but he's small and slow compared to NFL standards.
Right.
So not
Which
every team
probably wouldn't work here.
Right,
He's
exactly.
small, so-
Exactly.
Yeah.
Some teams will immediately disregard him, where a guy like Greedy Williams, 6'3", has length and has 4.3 speed, and that'll work for some people, but he's 185, play strength's an issue, competitiveness is an issue, so it's not going to work for everybody. So I think corner, safety, wide receivers, those three positions especially, it would not shock me at all the order these guys come off the board. Who's still available? Like when we reset the board after tonight,
Yeah.
What receivers are going to be? DK Metcalf could easily be available. I could see him falling out of the first.
We're going to be excited about the names that are there heading into Friday, I think. I don't want to convince people. I'm not trying to be naive and be like, try to convince you that guys with first-round grades are going to fall to 58, but I think we're going to be surprised by the way this happens. Like
every year.
There'll be a guy
Terrell Edmonds last year.
Boom.
Going first round.
Absolutely.
Like no one saw that coming.
When we get to 50, we're going to look, and I feel like there's going to be at least 3 guys where we're like, oh, okay, all right.
Okay, so I definitely the second half of the show, the last half of the show, I want to get into some of the things you're hearing, Dane. I know we're kind of a one-stop shop for everybody around the league. We got fans that listen to us from other teams. I want to get into a little bit of those rumors and stuff that you hear. And I'm fascinated by what the Raiders potentially can do. I'm fascinated by what we would do if in Arizona's situation, because it seems like that Arizona, as we are hours away from this draft starting, they're still locked into, okay, should we take this quarterback or should we not? And I think that's
or are they just trying to drum up trade offers?
I don't think they're trying to drum up. I think there's some serious concern there. I think that this is going to be one where Michael Bidwell, the owner, is going to have to make a call on this one. Does he want to back his coach or does he want to back his general manager?
Please give me a reason to believe that Kyler Murray's going to Oakland. Just give me a reason.
I tell you what.
I want it.
There are enough smart people around the league that I trust who think that Kyler Murray's not going one. And it's because the scouts, the front office, they want Nick Bosa. And so it comes down to, like Brian was saying, Michael Bidwell, who swings a pretty heavy stick in that war room, and the decision they make, do they want to go? Do they trust Josh Rosen enough? Do they believe in what he did? Or do they want to go with the young, exciting quarterback?
What is going on with this schizophrenic franchise where they fired their coach after 1 year?
Sure.
They retained the GM that hired him.
Yep.
Then they made like the most outside-the-box hire ever, like purely based on like the changing philosophies in offensive football, who is in love with this quarterback that they're talking about at the top of the draft. And then they're not going to give him what he wants. Like they're not going to give him the player that gives him the best chance to succeed.
Well, and that's Cliff Kingsbury's kind of speech to Michael Bidwell. Why, like, you hired me? Give me my quarterback.
Why did you hire me?
Right.
I'll tell you what.
And why do I care what this GM thought if we're so convinced that the quarterback's not the guy and we already fired the coach that he picked?
Let's do this. Let's take our first break. And when we come back, let's get into that. Again, I'm interested in what everybody thinks about the whole Kyler Murray situation. I think you asked a great question, Dave. I want to also talk about what potentially the Raiders can do there as well.
The Redskins, too.
And the Redskins, the Giants. There's a lot of teams that are trying to parlay some picks and go up. Who are they trying to get? We'll kind of go through Dane Brugler. He's got his mock draft out. We'll kind of go through that a little bit. So you have the draft show. It's actually the pre-draft show to the draft. We will be right back from the SWBC Mortgage Studios. As always, we're sponsored and presented by Miller Lite. Stay tuned.
Kaboo Texas is 3 days, 6 stages, over 100 artists, including The Killers, Lionel Richie, Leonard Skinner, Ms. Lauryn Hill, Kid Rock, Alanis Morissette, Little Big Town, The 8 Brothers, Counting Crows, Pitbull, Sting, The Black Eyed Peas, and the list goes on. Don't miss Kaboo Texas. Single day and 3-day passes are on sale now. Visit KAABOOTexas.com to get your passes today.
Essilor has been helping Cowboys fans see better since 1972 so they don't miss a moment on the field. Get glasses with Essilor's best vision, clarity, and protection with the Essilor Ultimate Lens Package. 3 innovative technologies in one lens. For a limited time, you can double your lenses for free when you purchase the Essilor Ultimate lens package and get a second pair of frames. Find a participating eye care professional and details by visiting EssilorUSA.com. That's EssilorUSA.com. Terms and conditions apply.
Do you want the most interesting, up-to-the-minute Dallas Cowboys news straight from the Star in Frisco? How about exclusive and on command? That's right, news and nuggets you can't find anywhere else. With our exclusive Cowboys content on Alexa, you can have all the answers, secrets, stories, and more. What's Stephen Jones thinking during a game? What's Joe Looney's favorite pregame meal? We take your questions to Cowboys players and coaches, and you can hear the answers directly back to you. Just say, Alexa, open Dallas Cowboys.
If you're like me and you love... if you have a thing, then cutting the cord is scary. But then I found out I could switch to DirecTV Now and still get the live sports I love. No satellite needed, no bulky hardware, no annual contract, just...
Get the live sports you love. Try DirecTV Now for $10 a month for 3 months. Visit DirecTVNow.com. DirecTV Now. More for your thing. That's our thing. Use code REALDEAL. Limited time. Price for little package. After 3 months, renews monthly at full price. Currently minimum $40 unless canceled. Prices may change. New subscribers only. Cancel anytime. Content varies by package and may be limited. Restrictions apply.
A man's Stetson doesn't just protect him from life's elements. It projects an unstoppable and legendary spirit, just like the men wearing silver and navy on the field every Sunday. Since 1865, Stetson hats are American-made with pride right here in Texas. They are still the official crown of all self-respecting Cowboys. And Stetson is proud to be on the field with America's team. Find Stetson hats in the Pro Shop or at Stetson.com today.
Dr. Pepper is the one you crave. But how do you explain that craving?
Imagine being shipwrecked on a desert island, alone. Glass-like curls of surf pound the shore with Dr. Pepper-colored waves. Surrounded by desire, but you can't drink it because it's the ocean. Fish live in there. The only thing you want is Dr. Pepper, and you can't have it.
Now that is a Dr. Pepper craving. Dr. Pepper, the one you crave.
This is the DallasCowboys.com Draft Show.
The Cowboys are on the clock.
We're indeed back here on the clock from the SWBC Mortgage Studios. Brian Broaddus, Dane Brugler, Lindsey Draper, Dave Hellman, Kent Garrison, executive producing. Just a little bit of house cleaning tonight. If you're in the area, the Dallas area, the Houston area, we will be on Fox Sports Southwest at 6 p.m. tonight, right, Linz? That's
correct. I'm sure we'll be streaming too.
Yeah, streaming on all our platforms.
Okay,
yes, so check it out. Yep. TV style.
TV style.
Big time.
Everybody will be dressed up for that one.
Bring your coat and tie.
Absolutely.
Yes.
We'll be ready to roll
Brian,
there.
can you tie my tie for me?
I'll be happy to help you with your tie.
He's shocked.
I might give you a bow tie is what I might do.
Brian will wear a bow tie.
I will
He's
wear a bow
shocked
tie.
how many NFL players can't tie their own tie.
That is true. And then also, then we're going to have, again, that pre-draft show is going to be every day. This, all 3 days of the draft. So we're excited about that.
So we're covering it live, and then we're gonna have like a reset for you every day. So Saturday morning, Friday morning,
Saturday morning, everything
Can't
we're
get
gonna
enough.
exactly. We're gonna do all that for you here. Again, we'll have from pick 1 to 254 also covered. We'll have opinions on that. We hope you follow along with us. Again, you could turn on your TVs if you want, but just make sure to turn the sound down and turn us up because we're going to have opinions on all these guys, good or bad. We're not going to sugarcoat this. If someone makes an awful pick, we'll let you know. If we like somebody's pick, we'll talk about that too. You never know. In day 3, we'll find a player they need to draft, and we'll get them drafted. We kind of have a little bit of magic doing that. So we'll have some fun. It should be a great weekend. Excited about all the things that we're going to do here on DallasCowboys.com. And again, with our partnership with Fox Sports Southwest and then 105.3 The Fan. Okay, David Hellman, you were kind of talking about Kyler Murray. Why would you not, if you have a new coach, why would you not want to try and help him all in that regard? Dane, you have a thought about that? Why the scouts are talking about, we like Bosa. We want to draft Bosa. Well, I don't care what you think, Coach. We want Bosa. Is that a healthy situation for Arizona going forward?
The scouts drafted Josh Rosen last year. So
you think they're protecting their player?
Well, partly that, and part, they believe in Nick Bosa as a guy that's going to help advance them as a football team. And there's no consensus over there. And so it really is going to come down to the owner. And does he feel okay punting on their first-round quarterback from last year? And the other aspect to it is he's an owner. So he has his eye on the bottom line, and it's kind of twofold. They're going to take a loss with Josh Rosen. They're not going to get accurate value from the first-round pick, plus what it took to get up into the top 10 last year to get him. But Kyler Murray means New Jersey sales, Everyone's
new excitement. New
yeah,
buzz.
people are going to be paying attention. Butts and seats, eyeballs on the Cardinals, which Josh Rosen will not bring to the same level as a Kyler Murray. So from the ownership standpoint, it's really interesting how that's going to play out. 70-30 is kind of what the feedback I got. Kyler Murray to Nick Bosa, but we're going to find out tonight.
Lindsay, do you think it's healthy for this team to keep Rosen and also draft Kyler Murray?
Oh my gosh. While Dane was talking, I was just thinking, I wonder how Josh Rosen feels or would feel when that happens. I don't even know.
Happened here with Dallas in '89 with Steve Walsh and Troy Aikman. That was an awful situation for this organization. Yeah.
I don't remember who it was, but one of the national guys, it might have been Rappaport, reported yesterday that, the people in the building out there are like really impressed with the grace and aplomb that he's handled this with. He's just kind of doing his job and not raising a stink and blah, 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 which that's commendable. But if they actually draft Murray, I mean, he might not make a stink publicly, but he's going to be like, get me out of here. Mm-hmm. Like I'm not sitting around to sit behind this kid.
Yeah. How old is he?
23.
Yeah. 23.
Yeah.
If you're a situation now and you're the Oakland Raiders sitting there at 4, let me ask you this though: the Jets at 3, are they going to be able to drum up business? You think
they want out of there? Everybody knows, but it's just will they get the trade offer that's going to get them to move out of there? Because there's a good chance the Jets will have the opportunity to draft who a lot of people think is the best player in the draft, and that's Quinnen Williams,
right?
The defensive lineman from Alabama. So, is there a trade offer? And the most logical trade partner would be the Redskins because they want to go up and get Haskins, and they want to get in front of the Raiders at 4, who could possibly take Haskins. But the Redskins have to go from 15 to 3, so that has to include next year's 1, this year's 2.
That'll be at 46. That's 246 that they currently own there in the second round.
And I mean, if you're trading up for Dwayne Haskins, rookie quarterback next year, Case Keenum, you might be picking top 10 next year. So think about trading a top 10 pick next year, your second rounder this year, plus a 15th overall pick to go up and get Haskins. It's risky. The last time they did this, RG3 2012, didn't quite work out.
I know the smoke. The smoke around both of the NFC East teams is about Daniel Jones and Dwayne Haskins. Mm-hmm. Like no possibility that one of them goes after Murray at 1. I know that's a steep price.
Yeah, I'd be surprised.
Could Haskins go at 4? Raiders?
Yeah, certainly.
God bless that man, John Gruden, because I think anything's possible with those crazy.
Yeah. Oh no. Yeah. Absolutely.
Like I think
I actually heard that the Raiders are looking to take 24 and 27 and try and go somewhere up with
They got 35. They've got. I mean, they got ammo. And think about it. Sorry, go ahead.
No, it'd just be shocking if they picked at 4, 24, and 27. Yeah, they're going to be active.
I mean, the Raiders.
It's just crazy town.
What's the snapshot on the Raiders? They're broke.
Yeah.
They're leaving Oakland for a new market. Bye. They're trying to market themselves in a new market in a new stadium.
Sure.
They got a new coach who has absolutely no faith in any of the guys on his roster, as evidenced
by the front office.
He's proven that.
Threw all of his scouts out of the building. He traded the best pass rusher in the league and one of the top 10 or so receivers in the league. There's next to no evidence that he has faith in the current quarterback.
This is a great 30 for 30.
Should it shock anyone if John Gruden goes after Kyler Murray? Like, what's going?
Oh no, that shouldn't. But
what's going to sell PSLs in Las Vegas more than Kyler freaking Murray?
My only argument to that is they can just sit at 4. You don't need a trade. Sit at 4.
Are you sure about that?
Because if you have a trade, if you can trade up to 1, then Arizona really doesn't want them. If they're willing to do a deal, then they don't want them. So sit at 4.
It's kind of like that movie I hate.
Good
draft
day.
Yeah, I would have made that guy. I would have told him. Yeah.
Isn't it the same logic that gets the Bears to do something crazy like trade from 3 to 2? I mean, the Cardinals might
stupid then.
It was, but Cardinals might not want him, but maybe somebody's willing to do a deal at 2 or 3.
And that's something that
you got to protect yourself against.
Definitely, that is a factor. It's just who. The Giants, maybe?
The Washington Redskins. If the report is true that Daniel Snyder has taken control, who knows what they I'm so excited. I don't care that the Cowboys don't have a pick.
It's going to be so entertaining.
I want maximum chaos.
The first round,
this could be
draft,
chaos. Get ready.
It's exciting regardless, but especially this year because it's so unpredictable. I was told Jay Gruden wants Daniel Jones.
Makes sense.
Bruce Allen Daniel Snyder wants Dwayne Haskins. And, of course, in that type of battle, ownership's going to win.
Yeah.
So,
wait, so which one does Snyder want?
Haskins.
Oh,
Bruce Allen
that upsets me because Haskins is the better player. I was hoping he.
So
would
yeah,
want Daniel
exactly.
Jones.
Okay, of the division teams for the Cowboy fans, are you worried more about the Redskins getting the players or the Giants getting the player or getting the quarterbacks?
The Redskins. I mean, you worry about them fixing their quarterback situation with Dwayne Haskins.
I think the Redskins have better talent around their potential quarterback right now than the Giants do.
Yeah.
Even with Saquon on the team.
You think Doug Williams reminds Haskins of himself?
I don't think Doug Williams has enough of a say to matter.
But they put Doug Williams out there as the kind of the mouthpiece.
Exactly. That's what he is, though.
But you think they kind of see a little Doug Williams in him, maybe?
I think that
he went to see Jason Campbell and Doug Williams.
Yeah, he went to high school with Daniel Snyder's son, and that's the thinking that they have. I don't think there's anything that you can really point to except the fact that he upgrades a quarterback position.
Lindsay, you worried about this team? You worried about the Redskins and the Giants improving enough? Giants with the 2 first-round picks. You worry about them?
They're going to do something stupid with them.
You think so?
Yes. They traded Odell. What are they doing?
I'm kind of back to the beginning of our conversation. Like, are the Cowboys going to do something big too? Because if the Cowboys can,
I asked you about patience. Yeah. Do you think they're going to have the patience to stand in there?
There's a difference between patience and being, or maybe the better word, being conservative and being aggressive.
You can't let everyone else get better and you not.
You're right, but everyone else is picking at the top of the draft because they've been bad. I mean, the Giants have pick 6 and pick 17. 1, because they're terrible, and 2, because
they gave up a great player.
They got rid of a generational player on purpose. So, I mean,
so you don't have much faith, David.
They have done nothing since Gettleman got there to give me faith.
Or Saquon.
Which, I've said this a million times. Like, the Cowboys took Zeke at 4. I understand that I'm kind of talking out of both sides of my mouth, but that was really stupid. The Cowboys were trying to maximize a championship window for an aging quarterback. The Giants window.
Giants did the same thing, huh?
No, the Giants window with Eli is done.
It's done.
They didn't have the offensive line.
Right.
They needed help on defense. They had a quarterback staring them right in the face. Also, the Cowboys picked 4th that year. They didn't have a shot at Wentz or Goff without doing a trade. The Giants went away from much better players. Who am I drawing up? I mean, it was a quarterback bonanza last year. They could have had Darnold.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. They should have taken Darnold.
They should have.
I understand how good Saquon is. He's a great player. They made the wrong choice.
Okay. They couldn't have had Baker, which
that's the only player they could not have
wouldn't have wanted him anyway.
Can I ask you? I know we were talking about the Raiders. Can you shed some light on something you and I had a discussion with last night about agents?
Yeah, that's interesting.
Now listen to this. If you're a Raiders fan, maybe out there listening, or you're just a fan of intrigue, Dane came up with an interesting theory last night when he was putting together his mock draft about the Raiders. And it happens to be with players involved.
And look, with the 4th pick, stuff like this shouldn't matter.
Shouldn't.
But it does.
It does.
Especially when we're talking about the Raiders and the Davis family, John Gruden. But
they hold grudges, this group.
Exactly. There's bad blood, and that bad blood will boil when it comes to Joel Siegel, who's the agent for Khalil Mack and Amari Cooper. Both left the Raiders on bad terms.
Tough terms, yeah.
The agent for Ed Oliver and Josh Allen is Joel Siegel. How does that play a part? And like I said, for the 4th overall pick, it should not matter. You should draft the best player, and you figure that out along the way. But
you got 5 years till you really have to worry about that anyway.
Exactly. But at the same time, NFL teams, especially this team with the Raiders, with the Davis family, with John Gruden, that will matter to them.
Dallas Cowboys might not be that far off. I mean, we'll see what David Cantor's future relationships with this team look like after the DeMarcus Lawrence negotiation.
But I think that's fascinating that that you would just totally walk away from 2
because of an agent.
And the Raiders will hold a grudge.
Yes,
they will hold a grudge.
That goes even further into my thought process. I was they could go after Kyler. They could they could make the most boring, which I hate to say this about my guy, they could make a boring pick and just take a Devin White.
That's why I had him in my final mock.
I still can't believe that an off-ball linebacker might go top 5 in this draft, but they could do that too.
They could take TJ Hawkinson.
Devin White is so far up Gruden and Mayock's alley. It's not even
Exactly,
funny.
yeah.
He's like tailor-made for what they want
The
in a football
alpha,
player. Yeah.
the attitude.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. And, I mean, he doesn't help the pass rush as a pass rusher would, but he's the best blitzing linebacker in this class. So, I mean, he gives you a little bit of juice.
Fantastic player. I think you
sure.
should be able to find better value at 4th overall.
Agree.
Anyway.
But yeah, the agent angle, that is certainly another fascinating wrinkle
Joel
to this.
Siegel, he had 2 of the ones that they let go.
Yeah.
And trust me, that group remembers what happened.
The North remembers? Oh, you don't watch Game of Thrones.
I don't watch
Sorry.
that show.
I know. Yeah, I picked I couldn't have picked 3 worst people to make that joke to.
We all have kids.
I got it, Dave.
Thank you, Kent. Appreciate you.
It's coming.
Dane, is some of the other rumors that you might be hearing about some of these teams? We talked a little bit about Washington. We talked a little bit about the Giants. Is there anybody else that you're kind of hearing some whispers?
Are we going to talk about rumors on our own team in the last segment?
Yeah, you've got one, Linz. You sent it to me during the show.
Oh, that's a different one. I was talking about the one we were talking about before the show about Taco. I was going to let you guys talk about that.
Well, we can talk about that a little bit later.
A bit later.
Let's do it. I want to talk about a couple other things with the Cowboys. We can do that in the third segment.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
Well,
But tell me, there's some. I'm hearing some whispers about stuff going on at almost at San Diego, in Los Angeles with the Chargers. Is there some things going on there with their quarterback situations?
There's been some rumors about possibly the Chargers working on a deal for Rosen if Kyler Murray is the first pick. And that's where, they're not getting the value. And so could the Cardinals on the first pick in the second round swap picks with the late first round pick for the Chargers? Was that 29?
Yeah, the Los Angeles Chargers are at 28.
28. So swap 28 and 33, and then swap quarterbacks, Josh Rosen, Tyrod Taylor. That's something that's been out there. Heard that multiple places. Speaking with NFC East teams, I was told Hollywood Brown, the wide receiver from Oklahoma, is not getting past 25 in the Eagles. So
that reminds them of
it's a little scary.
Deshaun Jackson.
Deshaun Jackson.
They just brought back.
Exactly. Yeah.
Exactly. So I think we talked about the Redskins, the Giants, what they're going to do with the quarterback situation in the top half of the first round, bottom half of the first round, where the Eagles are picking 2 guys to watch for: Hollywood Brown, and Jeffrey Simmons. And Jeffrey Simmons is one of both those players. If I'm a fan of the Cowboys, those are 2 players I do not want to see in Philadelphia.
Now take the tiny fast receiver, whatever. That's
you just
fine.
don't want Jeffrey Simmons, that defensive tackle, to show up in Philadelphia. Do you?
I don't want Jeffrey Simmons playing next to Fletcher Cox. No, I don't. I don't want that.
See, I kind of thought that's where Jeffrey. People are all saying, they kept asking, "Oh, does he get to 58?" No,
stop.
No, just stop.
Another team to look for with Jeffrey Simmons, the Miami Dolphins. We all assume that they're kind of in tank mode for next year.
Sure.
What's the better first round tank pick than Jeffrey Simmons?
Great point.
Who's going to redshirt this year? Is going to give you, hopefully, to be a top 5 player in this draft. And he's ready to go next year. He's the perfect tank pick. And if the Dolphins are able, in my mock draft, I have him traded him back twice with the Giants and the Texans taking Jeffrey Simmons at 23. That's an ideal scenario for the Dolphins.
Aside from the fact that
I love this.
They're going to be brutal to watch for 16 weeks next year.
And the Cowboys play in week 3?
Oh yeah,
Dolphins.
They do. Yeah.
Bring that tank mode in here.
No, yeah. Please, I said it, but the Cowboys should win their first 3 games.
Okay.
Don't at me.
Okay.
But they're in a fantastic position. Like they're going to be in the top 5 in a year where there will be 3 really badass quarterbacks on the board. So, or at least 2.
Definitely 2. I don't. You talking about Fromm as a 3rd?
Isn't there another one too?
That's my son's favorite college player, man. Get off that.
Tua and Herbert are the 2.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. But
I don't think Fromm's as good as people think. But
we'll save that. Save that for.
Sorry. Yeah.
All right.
That's next year.
Yeah. How about this though? Okay, we got that rumors. We got rumors. Lindsay brought up an interesting point. Some information came out yesterday. In our third segment here, let's talk about some of the things that we're hearing here at the Dallas Cowboys when we come back from the draft for the draft show from the SWBC Mortgage Studios, presented by Miller Lite. We'll get into some Cowboy talk as far as rumors. Stay tuned.
Player could look good on paper. It's when he's out on the field that you really find out what he's made of. That's why the Cowboys rely on more than just stats and scouting reports when building their team. When picking a tractor, it's why you should rely on more than just specs and features. You've got to take it out and put it to the test. The Cowboys did when they named John Deere their official tractor. Experience one for yourself. Visit myjohndeeredealer.com/football.
It's time for Tailgate with the OtterBox boys.
OtterBox, the makers of those crazy protective phone cases?
The one and only. They're also wild about protecting parking lot parties from sad drinks. It's why they made elevation tumblers.
Rumor around the crock pot is they're made from stainless steel with a copper lining to keep temps hot or cold.
True, they even come in 7 different sizes, up to 64 ounce, the growler.
I like how OtterBox drinks. Thinks.
And that's been Tailgating with the OtterBox boys. Check out all the colors and sizes of their elevation tumblers at otterbox.com.
Want to use what the pros use? How about the official men's skincare brand of the Dallas Cowboys, Jack Black? Right now, you can get the Jack Black Playmaker, a curated collection of Cowboys locker room favorites for just $10 with free shipping. The Playmaker includes 4 Jack Black skincare favorites, plus a full-sized Intense Therapy lip balm and a Cowboys can cooler. Go to getjackblack.com/Cowboys and use the code word Cowboys. The Jack Black Playmaker, $10, free shipping.
Star Sports Tours is the only official fan travel partner of the Dallas Cowboys, offering exclusive game weekend travel packages with sideline access and photo ops with current players, alumni, and cheerleaders. That's not all, though. You'll get to talk X's and O's with Senior Director of Player Personnel Will McClay, and of course with yours truly, me, Brian Broaddus. You can trust the official fan travel partner of the Dallas Cowboys, and with us, you'll travel like a pro. Visit cowboystravel.com to book your travel package today.
A man's Stetson doesn't just protect him from life's elements. It projects an unstoppable and legendary spirit, just like the men wearing silver and navy on the field every Sunday. Since 1865, Stetson hats are American-made with pride right here in Texas. They are still the official crown of all self-respecting Cowboys. And Stetson is proud to be on the field with America's team. Find Stetson hats in the Pro Shop or at Stetson.com today.
This is the DallasCowboys.com Draft Show.
The Cowboys are on the Am I starting with that?
We're back here in the SWBC Mortgage Sale.
The conversations we have off the air.
Classic Brian.
I got in trouble one time by the...
yeah, you got a file at I got a file at CBS in New York.
I got a file for dropping an F-bomb on the radio one time.
Paul Dawson.
I was right about... By the way, I was right about that.
Yeah.
He deserved an F-bomb.
You were right about Paul Dawson.
I was right about that. Okay, yes, we're back here in the SWBC Mortgage Studios. Last 15 minutes, we're going to try and get through some Cowboy rumors, maybe some league rumors. I'm going to talk about, I got some medical information too on some of these cats that you might, if some guys start sliding, maybe you'll kind of go, oh, now I know, kind of a thing. So, Linz, you brought up earlier the taco. It was tweeted out yesterday by Mike Fisher of 105.3, The Fan, about a potential the Cowboys trying to shop Taco around. Your thoughts about that, or what direction you'd like to go?
Well, the reason I brought it up is because last night after we streamed our mock draft, I went on to check it out, see how it went, how it looked, and every comment was about Taco from the fans. So clearly this is something they want to talk about and hear about. And Brian, I know your stance is he's not going anywhere.
I don't think he is going anywhere. I think this is agent drumming up business, trying to be poor Taco, kind of a thing.
Yeah.
Well, shouldn't they? Okay.
Taco needs to concentrate, like I said earlier in pre-show, about he needs to become Byron Jones. He needs to go out there, play down, every down, be reliable, be dependable, play hard, and try and get that fifth-year option. That's what he needs to do. These guys have proven that if you play well enough, they'll pay you to play.
And I think that
I think that's where that needs to be Taco's focus instead of trying to drum up false business. If you want to trade somebody, we've said this a bunch. You want to trade somebody, get value, trade Lyle Collins.
Yeah,
trade somebody like that you can get a second, third round pick for maybe.
Even if you entertain it as a possibility, you're not getting value.
You're not getting value at all for Taco. And people are saying, can we move up? Oh, ship Taco to Miami and you'll move up 10 spots. Well,
nah, bro.
Miami just gave you Robert Quinn. Mm-hmm. You think they're going to take Taco? And that's they're trying to tank. It's what we were talking about earlier.
It's the conversation that we have every year. And, there was a guy in our mentions this morning who wanted a third-round pick for Taco. And it's like, why are you trying to deal with this guy if he's worth a third-round pick? Why was he a healthy scratch multiple times if he's worth a third-round pick? Like, other teams pay attention to this team.
Yeah,
every team in the league has a cheat sheet on what's going on with this team and where they are.
What's the best offer you think they get for Taco?
Late day 3.
Is it a 6-rounder maybe?
Absolutely, yeah. That's it.
Fifth would be amazing.
You swapped players for our guy last year with the Raiders, right? The defensive tackle.
You got
Jihad Ward,
and you got a 6th for Tavon.
Yeah.
Here's a question: who was available that we could have taken instead of Taco? Maybe should have taken instead of Taco.
Okay, well, see, this is where Will McClay, and this is where I was wrong, by the way. I thought that Will was pushing the coaches in a way to take Watt. And I was told I am absolutely dead wrong about that.
Will was a Taco guy, right?
Will admitted it. Will said, no. He goes, I appreciate you trying to be nice, but I didn't think that Watt could be an every down player like he is, hand down guy. So, excuse me, Linz, but I just want to clarify that. I thought it was Will was saying, hey, I want Watt, and no, that's not the case. He was on board with pushing Taco to the staff. So that's where we're at.
Taco, a highly talented individual who has been marred by this drama in Twitter, or is he not the player that they thought he was?
I think he's just not the sum of his parts. Like, there's a lot of individual traits you like about him, but he's not able to put it together into one cohesive football player that equals production. And that's what you do as a scout. You evaluate traits because that's the job of a scout, but you also have to evaluate good football players, and Taco just wasn't a great football player in college. That's why I think most of us, we had him at second round, and he's the same guy that they drafted, and he hasn't shown that development, and he
needs to improve.
Yeah, he does that's not it shouldn't be all on the Cowboys front office for making the pick. Some of it you have to put on the player for not realizing his opportunity and taking advantage of it.
Right, absolutely.
And the stuff, simply put, the stuff you see on social media doesn't make you feel a ton of confidence. I don't want to put words in his mouth. It certainly seems like he's more worried about what people are saying about him than anything else.
There's like he is very, very sensitive about what is said about him, and he needs to buck up, and like I said, with Byron Jones, go get you that 5th-year option.
And look, TJ Watt went 2 picks after. That hurts, but you can say that about a billion picks.
Sure, you can.
Point being,
but I want to admit I was wrong. I was wrong about my assessment of the situation and what I believed was the situation.
Even if Will Smith, even if Will McClay stood on the table and was like, Taco is the guy. You know what? You're not going to bat 1,000 in this industry. Right. You're just not. And going back to 2010, what's that? 9 picks?
Yeah.
7 of them have been all pros and Pro Bowls.
And I think that's why Will McClay stepped up and said, hey, whoa.
You're not going to bat 1,000. And you can kill him for drafting Taco if you want to. Yeah, it might have been a missed pick. It is what it is.
It's fascinating looking back at the pass rushers, the defensive ends in that draft. Aside from Myles Garrett, who
went number 1.
Yeah, went number 1. He's going to be the highest paid defensive player here in a few years. I'm betting. After Myles Garrett, Solomon Thomas with the 49ers.
Not looking great. We'll get to that.
We're going to hear his name floated out trade rumors. Derek Barnett's been hurt. Jonathan Allen, he's been okay in Washington, but hasn't been a game changer.
Yeah. Kicked the Cowboys butt a couple times.
Those two Alabama guys inside have been.
But Charles Harris with the Dolphins was a bust. Yeah. Tack McKinley from UCLA hasn't lived up in Atlanta. So
yeah,
and then you have
Charles Harris. Yeah.
So just that defensive end class was really not what we expected at this point.
And we know it takes a while for that position, but still he's not helping himself, it seems.
I think that's the debate, which I don't know what they're going to do. I tend to believe they won't do anything, but if you're trading Taco, it's just because you're sick of his attitude and you don't want him here. Yeah. And you're just like, we'll call it a loss. We'll get maybe we'll get our late 5th round pick or 6th round pick and we'll just get him out of our hair.
Yeah.
But the other side of that is he's heading into year 3. Byron didn't make a Pro Bowl till his 4th year.
Right.
And, you bank on him figuring it out at some point. Those are your 2 options.
Well, you would think, though, with Rod Marinelli and Leon Lett and those guys, how excited they are. And on heck, on Friday night, we might hear another defensive end's name called.
Oh, boy.
You know, and that's kind of where this is at right now.
Hey.
It's kind of because we're talking about safety. You know, we're talking about safety because, okay, what's Kayvon Frazier done? You know, I mean, there's a little bit of
I mean, Kayvon was a 6th-round pick.
But I'm just saying, though, if in fact that you had seen some growth, maybe that Kayvon Frazier steps in and plays that down safety.
Sure.
That's kind of what I'm not. No offense.
I know.
I'm just trying to say if you were a little bit better.
I just hesitate to compare pick 28 to pick 2 whatever.
Right.
Well, pick 58.
No, I'm talking about Taco.
Oh,
Sorry.
Taco. Okay,
Yeah.
I see what you're saying. Okay, the next thing I want to get, Dave, you were talking about, you brought up Solomon Thomas.
Well, Lindsay brought him up.
Lindsay,
and
okay.
yeah, I mean, it's the same story we just said with Taco, which I don't know anything about Solomon Thomas's attitude. I remember he had a high, reputation grade coming out of that draft, but he has not lit the world on fire in San Francisco. If Kyler Murray goes number 1, Nick Bosa is going to be on that line with Armstead and DeForest Buckner, D Ford now.
Right.
So it makes sense why there are rumors about them shopping him, which I want to know. Cowboys could use a defensive lineman. We're talking about maybe drafting Tristan Hill or Jalen Ferguson. Mm-hmm. Would you do that deal, and what would you pay for him? The former number 3 overall pick in the draft?
You got the two. Yeah. You got the 2 4s.
It's hard because I honestly have not watched enough of Solomon Thomas the last 2 years to give a great answer, but we really like the player coming out.
We sure did.
As a base end, a guy that can reduce inside.
Has it been because of coaching change there? Or, I mean,
scheme maybe?
Schematic.
Yeah.
That's more than anything.
Is it something that, is it worth it to you there at 390? Is it worth it to you at 127?
We just sat here and said,
128.
I have a hard time believing you're getting a better player in the late 4th round than Solomon Thomas.
Yeah.
I have a hard time believing that. But
it just makes me wonder. Sorry, Dave.
If you're going to take a 3 technique already,
right? Or maybe an end if you draft Jalen Ferguson.
But do we remember what they viewed him as? A 3 technique or an end?
I don't remember.
I think they looked at him as a tackle. Okay. So I didn't bump into Rod Marinelli this morning. That makes me mad because I used to ask him questions about.
He'll be around for the rest of the day, probably.
Yeah, but I mean, I wanted to know if
what makes me.
Well, I mean, on their stack, I'm sure he was probably a top 10 player.
Probably. Oh yeah, I'm sure of that. But where? How did they view him?
And how do they view? His
well,
2 years
anywhere.
of
How
tape
about
in San
anywhere?
Francisco?
How about anywhere? If they,
I mean, I agree with you, but. We could say the same thing about TJ Watt. I mean, I think they viewed him as a specific role, either a base end who could reduce inside or as a straight 3 technique. And so it's just a matter of what they thought of him pre-draft. And then, like Dave said, the last 2 years where he was probably out of position in that scheme, do they still believe in him the way they did 2 years ago?
You think San Francisco would take that 4th round pick?
That's what I wonder because we're sitting here saying, Taco's pick 128, Solomon Thomas's pick 13.
Right.
So we're sitting here saying maybe you can get a 6th for Taco. What does San Francisco think about him? What do they want for him? I mean,
that's why I was trying to be realistic and offer 90 or
90 sounds fair, but maybe you could get him for even cheaper. Like it's staggering how little you can get players for these days.
It just depends on who else you're bidding with. What other offers?
Unless you're dealing with Arizona, who really doesn't want to give up their quarterback yet.
58 sounds really rich. I mean,
no way, I can't do it.
I would take Solomon Thomas over what might be there for you at 90, especially if you're trying to address this D-line.
We were talking about taking Hill at 58.
Yeah.
We didn't feel good about it the other night.
Right. I think that in order for it to happen, I would think they'd have to do it for 90. I don't know if your late 4 would be enough, but I don't know.
I just think about it in Philadelphia. We traded for Hugh Douglas, 2nd round pick for Hugh Douglas. And he was 14th overall, I believe, with the Jets. With Parcells.
I've been around long enough that I mean, and I don't know if Tristan Hill will be the pick, but their grade on Tristan Hill is outstanding. And they're just like, we feel great. And if they were to draft him at 58, then they wouldn't even want Solomon Thomas.
I bet you if they put Solomon Thomas evaluation tape, don't you think, Linz? Solomon Thomas and Tristan Hill, if it has to be, they'd have to say they'd have a better grade on on Solomon Thomas.
You would think, but then, maybe.
But you're now 3 years removed, right?
Yeah,
2 years removed?
Maybe you throw on his 49er tape and you're just not wowed.
Yeah.
I don't know. That does raise one more thing I wanted to bring up. We're running out of time, but something,
Yeah, I want to get in some medical information too, if we could.
Well, just real quick. I mean, we talked about trading up when we did that mock draft. Did we not pay enough credence to the idea of trading away from pick 58? And the reason I don't really think so, because I
think they'll have a hard time sitting there for 57 picks and think about going backwards.
What if they're
Unless
wiped
they
out?
get wiped out, or they're
okay. If they're wiped out, then who's
coming up?
Who's
the board?
there? I'm not trying to be a jerk.
No.
I'm just saying if you're wiped out, who is somebody interested in?
That's what gives me pause. You see.
Okay, let me
trades
ask you this:
that.
Is that is this going to sound crazy? Is that Will Greer?
Sure.
Is that Finley?
Could be.
Is it one of those guys?
It could be.
And is it worth it? Is it worth moving back? I mean, what are you getting?
Yeah,
because someone's likely moving up from the third to the second.
Yeah,
going to
exactly.
give you what, a fourth and a sixth?
You got Colts behind you. Maybe that's where the Chargers are looking for that quarterback.
I mean, I think you're almost better unless someone blows you away with a future 3. I don't know. I'm staying there at 58 and picking and not risking trading back and then getting wiped out again from the next tier of players. Whoever that
may
be.
I wouldn't want to trade down more than 6 or 7 spots, and that's not going to fetch you this crazy.
Right. Well, and this might be your avenue, because think about this. If you look at the picks behind the Cowboys, Kansas City's at I believe Kansas City's at 261.
Mm-hmm.
This would be their first pick of the draft because they don't have a 1. New Orleans is at 262. This would be their first pick of the draft, if I'm not mistaken.
They're going to come up and get Debo from us.
So that's what I'm saying. You got some teams that might be willing to come up and give you something, and it's only going down 4 spots.
Okay, is it worth a 5th-round pick?
Yeah. I mean, I'd move 3 spots for a 5th.
It just depends who's there, I guess.
Yeah. I mean, if a guy I love is there, but again, we don't think this team will draft Debo Samuel.
Correct. Right.
If the Saints are hell bent that Debo is going to be their slot guy to pair with Mike Thomas for the next 5 years, come up, give me a 5th. We don't have a 5th. I'll do that, and then one of the guys you like will still be there.
You don't have a 6.
I'm sorry, you don't have a 6. Well, even better. So you have 2 5ths now.
2 4. You have 2 4s, 2 5s.
If there's somebody at 58 that you just don't want to lose, I'm not trading.
Right. I'm talking about a scenario where you're not in love with any, and you're like, well,
sure,
Tristan Hill will still be there at 61, and we can add an extra pick.
Yeah. Again, the teams behind you at 59 is the Colts. 60, the Chargers. Chargers are always that team that kind of takes a guy away from you, don't they?
You just make that up.
No.
Teams.
No. The Chargers
always are the criminal team.
No, they took my safety that I wanted from Florida State. Remember
Derwin? Yeah. They wouldn't.
Yeah,
they would have. They would have drafted Leighton anyway. I made my peace with the Derwin James thing when I realized that Leighton was going to be the pick no matter who was there. Which hard to blame him. Dude went through the Pro Bowl.
Real quick, if I could go through some medical information.
Go. Sorry.
Real quick. You talked about Hollywood Brown, that Liz Frank surgery.
Right.
Dr. Anderson did the surgery there, and he's one of the top 3 in the country, I've been told. So that's all doing well. These are all from the rechecks. Jalen Hurd had a meniscus scope. There's not a concern there. So just needs a little bit more time to work out to kind of help that knee. Montez Sweat. Okay, we heard a lot about that. It's a condition called, the acronym is HOCM. Look it up. It's something to do with the measurement of a heart. And so, if you want to know a little bit more about Montez Sweat, the condition, again, is HOCM. Check it out. You'll learn a lot about that. Christian Miller had some problems with his hip, more hip than hamstring. That's a guy that the Cowboys brought in. Your guy Tavai, the safety, Jelani Tavai from Hawaii, had a shoulder. It's a grade 3 sprain. They fixed it. There's no concern there. Very similar to what Troy Aikman had in 1990. So keep an eye on that. We talked about the hip flexor condition with Taylor Rapp. Thompson, the safety from Alabama. There's a little concerns. There's starting to be some whispers about maybe a knee problem there.
Yeah.
More a knee problem than the wrist.
The right wrist is what we talked about throughout the process, because that's what he reported.
Dane's been hinting that there was something else this whole time.
The teams.
Not
I
running a 40-yard dash.
I talked to a bunch of teams that said, hey, maybe a knee problem there. So Thompson. So if you see some guys start sliding, we've talked about Gary with the labrum that needs to be fixed. This is a labrum that will likely wear out.
That's going to be interesting tonight. Where does Rashawn Gary fall?
Absolutely. Bless you over there, Lenz. Metcalf, I didn't know this about DK Metcalf. He had a fused neck.
Yeah. That's why he missed last year.
Yeah,
this past year.
It's a lower fusion, which is a better fusion. Yeah. So he should be okay there. We talked about Dexter Lawrence had something. I didn't know this. He had a Jones fracture in his foot, and then he's got ankle issues. He got drop foot.
Yeah.
Kind of similar to what
good.
He got similar. So Dexter Lawrence, the defensive tackle from Clemson.
That sounds like something that would push you down the board.
But he's okay.
But
he says it's okay. It's come back. It's a nerve.
Right.
They were fixing his ankle and they pinched off his nerve, and it gave him drop foot.
It was a sophomore year.
Yeah.
So he came back his junior year and played at not 100%, but yeah, he's worked his way back. So that's another one. Dexter Lawrence is going to be fascinating to see where he falls.
And then also Emmanuel Hall, played all season with the groin injury.
Another Cowboys.
You have to manage him, though. But you were talking about a track mentality. I talked to some teams. I kind of brought that up. The team said no, they didn't get the feeling that he had that track mentality, that he was willing to do. So we'll see.
So there's some players or people at Missouri that think
they say that. Okay, well, there's some the trainers I talked to are saying, well, maybe not. But Missouri knows the kid. They live with him. And then the last one I want to talk about before we get out of here is Polite, the defensive end from Florida. There's some shoulder concerns there as well.
Add to the list.
Yeah, it might need might be some potential problems there. So those are some names of guys that you need to keep an eye on. If you see them start to slide, you kind of have an idea why that is.
Good info.
Okay. Appreciate everybody out there. We're going to do this tonight at 6:45 on all our platforms.
Next time you hear that music, it'll be time.
That's when we'll have the draft. But at 6 o'clock, Lindsay Draper will host, if you're here locally at Fox Sports Southwest, she will host it. But we'll have it on DallasCowboys.com too. So make sure you kind of check that out. We'll do a little bit of a preview. I'll be dressed up, ready to go. So again, for my scouting buddies, Dane Bergler, David Hellman, Lindsay Draper, Kent Garrison, I'm Brian Broaddus. We'll see you this evening from the Star here in Frisco. Look forward to it. Take care.